Way back, guys. Absolutely back. All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome again to the Hustle series, episode 8. This is where we talk about work in progress stories. This is where we interview regular day to day people like you and I, talking about their hustle journey, how they started, how they got where they are, and of course, they're nowhere near where they want to be. This is the place we tell those stories. We don't want to wait till they're gray in the air before we know their success stories. They're happy and vulnerable enough to share, their beautiful story with us, just so that you and I can pick one or two things that we can add to our hustle journey, or we can use as we go on. So it's about to go crazy, guys. And with no much further ado, new background I like. Interesting. It's a makeshift. I'm not in my normal space, but you know what? The show has to go on, bruv. So, ladies and gentlemen, whilst Instagram makes everybody aware we're on, let us get cracking, guys. I'm about to bring in my guest of the hour. Are we ready? Are we ready, guys? Let's do this real quick. Ladies and gentlemen, all the way. Yeah! It's going to be exciting, guys. Wow. Bam, 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 guys. Bam. Oh my God, this glasses of yours just makes you look all Martin Luther King right in front of me, man.
Malcolm X, man. Malcolm X.
Malcolm X, yes, that's the one. Yeah, Malcolm X, that's the one.
That's the swag I'm going for. I'm good, man. I'm blessed.
Oh, beautiful. So
I've actually never done an Insta Live before, so first time for everything.
Hollywood style studios, with all of the lights and all of the stuff, but this is where I am. This is where the hustle is.
It's different. I like it.
I know.
Blue's actually one of my favorite colors. So yeah.
Okay. I got that. All right. So, Mr. Gerald, I'm so excited to have you on board. I know we spoke earlier, and I'm just super excited about what the guys will learn from your story.
Mm-hmm.
I'm super excited for the great things you have done to date. And the crazy part of this is you're nowhere near where you want to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, So, guys, all I can say is if you haven't heard this name or seen this face before, by the time we're done tonight, you will know who G is.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
Oh, yeah. So let's get into it because I know you're quite busy. We're waiting for people to join, but I'm sure that they will catch up on the video at some point. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Now, with celebrities, what happens is, when they're about to come up for their Hall of Fame award, they sit them down, and then some lovely lady somewhere will read, or guy will read their resume for the whole building to hear, and then after that, they welcome them to the stage. So, even though I don't have a Grammy stage to welcome you to, I have my table, and if you permit me, I will read out your resume so everyone can get a nag of what you do and who you are, and then we'll get into it. Is that all right?
Man, no problem.
Cool. So, ladies and gentlemen, weighing 220 pounds. Oh my God. I present to you Gerald. I'm trying to pronounce your surname. Is it Sagoe?
Sagoe.
Yeah, sorry. The hustle is real with this accent and all of that. All right. So Gerald is a creative director, is an artist, is a creative problem solver. Everything around creative visualization, digital content, brand development. He's into films, adverts, social media, marketing campaigns, Ladies and gentlemen, he's the co-founder of So-Fraiche, a creative agency which are doing great stuff, which we'll get into in a minute. He's a multifaceted polymath with hunger for making up new things, producing cutting-edge content, and creating paradigm shifts. This gentleman has worked with brands, big, small, medium, ranging from ASOS to Warner Music to Sony Music to O2 to Coca-Cola to Discovery Channel. He's also done Nike, guys, all the way to Samsung. He's worked with the likes of Chelsea Football Club, Kojo Funds, the Ghanaian government, TikTok, Mayor of London. He's done music with CZ, Sony Music. He's helped relaunch even the retro Nike Air Force sneakers. He's worked with, luxury brands like Secret Escape. And he has been opportune to sit and dine with the high and mighty in the film industry, particularly likes of Spike Lee, the film director, producer, the president of Ghana, who he interviewed actors from the very well-known empire, of Ghanaian descendants. Ladies and gentlemen, this guy has gone the high, the low, the medium, and guess what? He's still nowhere near where he wants to be. I produce, I present, I direct the one and only Gerald Sagoe. Ladies and gentlemen, what do you have to say to us as we crack into this beautiful session?
Yeah, thank you for the intro, man. It's been a long time, and I like what you're doing. So I'm down to support, man. Just,
fantastic.
Spread good vibes and, have conversations that hopefully enlighten people, share ideas, man. It's positive.
Absolutely. All right, so let's get into it. My first question for you is, even though, like I said to you before, I've always had mad respect for you, but, it's on a different scale right now, because looking at what you've done from then till now, how did hustle start for you? Where did it start? How did it start? And let's get into it from there.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I think I've always had really big dreams, big ambitions from early. So from as a small child, I think the first thing I said I wanted to be an author. I was always writing, stories, and had a big imagination. So yeah, from early I just knew that the world was my oyster, and I could do anything. Anything was possible. So with someone who was so creative, had so many ideas, it just naturally propelled me to try things, and even through adversity, school days and so on, there's still that burning thing inside me that was always yeah, I wanna do great things, man. So yeah, it's something that's always been inside me from early.
So taking it from the beginning and having, and I guess a lot of people can resonate with that inner feeling of knowing you can do stuff. But we all know that there's a whole long journey between knowing it in your heart and actually bringing it to life. So at what point did knowing it in your heart began to become something you had to deliver in blood and flesh? At what point did that start? And talk us through that time of your life and all of that, just so people can relate, and then we'll go into the big stuff.
Yeah, I mean, as early as just, having to been given the task to deliver, kind of owning it, doing it in my own way. I kind of always felt like I stand out, and I haven't really tried to fit the mold, or it's just never been me. So even I remember school days, I took to subjects like art, and even with art, I remember I was the only one in my class who was using computers to design my artwork. And people are using paintbrushes and doing things as normal, but it was like, how come he's using computers to do his artwork? And it was like, yeah, that's what I do. Like, I just come different. So yeah, man, that's
and
it.
and again, for because you're touching on areas where people kind of struggle in terms of they know they're different, but they also want to be accepted.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah,
and I know that that plays out in different facets in depending on the circumstance and the age and all of that.
hmm
How did you keep the strength going? Because it could have been easy for you to say, "Oh yeah, you did your assignment with computer, and they shut you down, and next week you start doing it the way the others are doing it."
yeah.
Where did the strength to not just be different, but keep being different? Where did it come from, or how did you handle that?
So yeah, I think it comes through your own self-discovery, having a strong sense of who you are, and no doubt we all go through those kind of periods of not having that kind of confidence or being a bit down or whatever.
Yeah.
So it happens to the best of us. Firstly, I come from quite a strong family background where I've got that support system and parents who kind of instill that belief in you. So that
Mm,
definitely helps to have that almost like in the back of your head that yeah, like anything's possible. I can achieve. Having a strong sense of identity, where I'm from. I
yeah.
think all those kind of play into your psyche, because I actually wasn't even born in this country. I was born in Ghana. So
Wow.
coming over again, it's like you're growing up and you're having to face that kind of those challenges of being different
Yeah.
already. So if you don't have that strong sense of identity, like you know what, yeah, I am from here, and that's what I am about. And if that's not instilled in you and you don't understand that, then it's going to be tough because as you grow, obviously, children can be ruthless when you get into school, right?
Absolutely.
So you definitely need
Absolutely.
that. So yeah, I feel like it definitely was a part of me. And like I said, not to say that I didn't have moments where I could have been down or I wasn't sure about myself or whatever. They came, but again, if those things don't really like destroy you or keep you down, they're only going
Yeah.
to make you stronger. And I feel like
Mm,
sometimes we have to face
mm,
those challenges
mm.
where it allows us to question ourselves and move forward in a more kind of stronger way with stronger desire.
Wow. 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 And we thank it's so good because when we get into your story, I think you having that coming up feeling different and with grace you were able to keep to that path is what has brought you to this big stuff. Now, fine, you're different, all of that. Coming from an African home,
hmm
where I know education is key, super key, regardless of how different you want to be. Were you? How did you? Now, again, this is me just sitting, asking you questions from a point of sitting in my room and watching this.
Yeah.
How did you ever have issues with you wanted to go one path? Your
hmm
parents thought that you should go the other path, and if you did, how did you come back to both of you come back to the center? Did that
Yeah.
ever happen to you? Yeah,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a challenge that that is going to come, especially coming from African household. You should know,
absolutely.
but yeah, I feel like I've always been a rebel, so I feel like it was just that it was just inherent in me, like that was always going to be something that was part of my identity to kind of not fit a mold. So there's always those times coming from school, like parents' evening, that those are emotional times. Those are emotional times,
Oh my goodness.
Trust me.
I can imagine the conversation in the car on the way back home, like, yo,
Mm.
hmm,
Trust me, yeah. So like, I think that rebellious spirit, as long as it's kind of nurtured in the right way, I think that does lead to great things. If you look at a lot of great people that we look up to and I look up to, they're just rebellious in nature. So I feel like
hmm, hmm.
that was just always something that was in my spirit. So even rebelling against my parents to be like this is what I want to do, or yeah, fair enough. Like sometimes people don't understand maybe a path you're taking because they haven't seen it being done, or you know, they have maybe perceived notions of how things should be done.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like that rebellious spirit always allowed me to challenge those
That is good.
conversations, come head
And
on.
I'm tempted to ask that the rebellious spirit you had, looking back now, would you say that that was your defense mechanism to protect your difference, your being different? Looking back now, because you know, parents, some people who have kids will be watching this,
Hmm.
and people who don't. But looking back from your experience, would you say that that was your own way of protecting the difference in you, or would you have still been able to be this different if you were not that rebellious? If you literally listen to and do what satisfy everyone, as it were, what would you say to that? Was that your defense?
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, it's also intrinsic as in your identity to be like, this is my belief system,
Hmm.
and it's part of who I am. And even I wasn't the most loudest person. I feel like I've changed growing up. Like there's a period of time where I was so like loud and over the top, and then I got a bit older, then I was really quiet and less, and so I kind of fluctuate. But
Hmm.
naturally, kind of more introverted, but also, you know, can be extroverted. But definitely I feel like that kind of rebellious spirit kind of allowed me to understand that, okay, maybe there might be some notions of this is how things should be done,
Yeah.
but at the same time, you start, as you grow up and you realize you're living in a capitalist world with, you know, certain ideologies, people who think that they're this, you know, again, we talked about growing up in school days, having to battle certain situations that you kind of, that it's either going to dampen your spirit or
Yeah.
allow you to, you know, really, you know, have those battles and become stronger with your spirit.
Hmm.
So yeah, I feel that it definitely became like a tool for me, the rebelliousness, once it was sharpened and honed and didn't, because again, rebelliousness can be seen in different ways, especially if you're in schools with teachers who maybe don't understand you or want to put you
Yeah.
down. I was in a situation where as young as maybe primary school, I feel like I was put in a special needs class,
Wow.
and I think I had a conversation with my dad. And if I didn't have that conversation with my dad, he wouldn't have come to the school to be to the teacher to be like, "Yo, why is my kid in a special needs
Yeah.
class? Like he doesn't have any special needs, and you haven't consulted the parents. Like what the hell's that about?"
Yeah.
But then if you look at the psychology of these things, you see why people do that. Maybe you're a bit too loud and giddy or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's it. They put you in a box, and those
Hmm.
things can destroy children. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's interesting. But yeah, again, these challenges coming up and having to kind of go through them, you know, and only kind of making you stronger, sharpening
Yeah.
those tools that you
Yeah.
have, it
Yeah.
definitely helps.
Wow. Wow. And again, I'm intentionally being pedantic around this side of your story because I know we're going to get into big stuff, and just so people will get an understanding of there's a journey to this. It's not like you just woke up and then, you know, you're doing big things. So again, now you've gone through all of this, and where exactly would you say that you found yourself? And what was the contributing circumstance to how you found yourself slowly coming into So-Fraiche and all of that big stuff you began to do? What was the starting point like?
Yeah, sure. So I feel it started with this the burning desire to be great. You know, just yeah, I want to do great stuff. I'm creative. I know that. I like creativity, films, media, art. Those are the things that I gravitate to. So I gravitate to things I love naturally.
Yeah,
However, those things also come with challenges, as we talked about. If maybe you don't come
absolutely.
from a background where you know, nepotism favors a lot of people. They get opportunities because of nepotism and
Yeah.
other, you know, and other things that work in your favor. And I had none of that. I had no parents with no contacts, none of that shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it makes things a bit more
Oh my
difficult.
goodness, yeah.
So yeah, so I think I ended up going to university, even though I didn't think university was for me. But it was like just a rite of passage, you know, make the parents happy,
Yeah.
get the degree, and it's a new experience, and kind of just see how it goes. Ultimately, I just felt like let's just explore, let's see where things go.
Yeah.
Initially, I wanted to go to America. I was always like fascinated with America and maybe going there and maybe doing film school or something. It didn't happen that way, but I guess it still worked out somewhat. I feel like sometimes your journey, you can go
Yeah.
different paths, but you can end up in the same place you're meant to be.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So yeah, I think going to university, even at one point, I was like, this university thing is not for me. I started a company while I was at university. I was
Oh my
taking
God.
video cameras and filming events. So I started a company, which is a student online television platform. And then I went to one website company and they had a really big client. And they liked what, you know, the client liked, they heard what I was trying to do. We were trying to create like an online TV station for students. And they were like, yo, this is a great idea. So they wanted to invest. So straight away, it's like, I haven't finished uni and I've got an idea and people are talking about money. Like, and this wasn't a small guy. This was like this web company's biggest client, who was like a multi-millionaire. So straight away, it showed me that, yeah, my ideas have value.
Yeah.
That didn't work out, but it taught me a lot of lessons. Firstly, working with people, the difficulties that comes with, and I guess the fact that building a brand, building a company, some of those early lessons it taught me as well. So, and then coupled with that, I was still passionate about film. So I was like, started to work on short films as well, and just really pushing, trying to get more experiences that I could get my ideas out there. I wasn't so confident about my own ability, but the main thing was just to try. So graduated, tried a business that didn't work out, went back to the film route, tried to make my own short films, went in-house, worked with a production company for experience, worked on other people's projects, you know, from just being a runner, production assistant to whatever I could get, to, you know, with friends who also maybe wanted to do music videos, I helped on their projects. So anything I could do just to hone my skills, try new things, I tried out and just kept on developing and just tried to make new opportunities emerge. And then I got to a point where I connected with someone who was more kind of business orientated, and he saw my work that I'd done with the short films and the content I'd made, and we said, yeah, let's sit down and see what we can do. And then So-Fraiche was born.
Wow.
So the whole idea of So-Fraiche was like, let's just create a brand, a global brand that can create some amazing content and can evolve to be anything, can inspire people. And this is around 2011, so when the riots were happening in London.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was that kind of time. And yeah, it just evolved from more like a blog with like loads of content to a creative agency over time.
Okay. So I'm gonna butt in there because I'm getting excited as you were going into your story now, because we're gonna go into this. But you, talking to you before this, you said something which was key, and it was about you doing what you enjoy, and it kind of runs through your story up until the point you've just finished.
Mm-hmm.
Because right from your young age, you did understand that you were different.
Mm-hmm.
You stuck to your difference, even though you were doing politically correct things to get people off your back. You still kind of funneled into your difference.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and of course, you had time where you were kind of doing internship, some sort of internship around, just to grab and then again, you got some sort of validity or validation that what you do might bring money, or someone was happy to put their money on it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how does it feel for you every morning when you wake up doing what you enjoy? And I ask that question because it's so cliche when people say, you live your best life when you're doing what you love.
Mm-hmm.
It's no more work when you do what you love. My question to you is, are those cliches absolutely true? Or is there any variance from what people think of actually doing what you love to do?
I think it comes down to the person, and we all have different experiences, right? Because
Yeah.
there's some people who are doing what apparently they love, but they're depressed as hell.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
so it really comes down
True.
to how you react, relate to what's going on around you. Um, because sometimes, you get into things and it's not what you expect. A lot of people
Yeah.
say that, you get into things, a lot of artists in the music industry, you get into it and, it turns out to be something else. Again, with business as well as all these things, you're dealing with other people's
Yeah.
perceptions. People might want to manipulate, people might want to make money off you, people might want to deceive you, whatever. All these challenges comes with just the human experience, right?
Yeah. Yes.
But ultimately, yes, when you do what you love, I think you're just definitely going to have a different, spirit about you. Or if you ultimately know that um, there's an end goal. Because sometimes it's not necessarily, because there's going to be days where you don't love what you're doing.
Hmm.
But there's an
Say
end
that
goal, right?
again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
Because, yeah, there's a period of time where even the whole entrepreneurship thing is being glamorized. I'm doing it. Yeah, I'm this, I'm that. But going home, I'm just like, yo, this is long. This is stressful. I'm burnt out. It's not fun. Do I even want to do this? Like, do you know what I
Exactly.
mean? So
Hmm.
it is a cliche, but yeah, it really comes down to your personal experience and
And
how you
and
react.
yeah, and you just mentioned in those days, because I think it's also key because of course, we live in a social media world now where people see So Fresh, fresh. Am I pronouncing, what's the pronunciation?
I call it so fresh. People call it
So
so
Fresh.
fresh. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So Fresh. Um, People see that blowing all over the place and just think that, G is having the ball of his life. But
Mm.
are those times where, those very down times, how do you pick yourself back up? Because when it doesn't even look like anything is going to change tomorrow, and
Hmm.
you're having this feeling tonight, in those situations, how have you been able to pull yourself back and still keep going? Because you're a very brilliant guy, so you could literally drop So Fresh and go get find money in another creative way, So, what has kept you on the straight and narrow as concerning So Fresh, even when it was looking like this is not happening?
Just that ability to know that I have to grow and evolve, and all my experiences are valid and might be shaping me for the
Mm,
better. I think sometimes
mm,
once you start believing
mm.
that the universe is working in your favor, that helps because you might be working so hard going in a direction that the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, is telling you, no, go in this direction because
Yeah.
that is the better direction. And you might
Hmm.
not know that. But I think as I've grown, spiritually and everything, like I've learned to understand that. Like sometimes maybe these challenges are happening for a reason.
Mm.
And yeah, getting jobs and whatever you're doing, other side hustles, other, whatever, they're all kind of giving you different skill sets.
Mm.
And it's like a game. Like, like you can't beat the boss.
Absolutely.
Every time you're trying to beat the boss, you can't beat the boss. But every time you try and beat the boss and fail, you understand how to approach it the next time around,
Absolutely.
and you get a bit
Mm.
closer to beating the boss, right? So I see it as the same thing. So it's like if like I've been in a situation where I'm struggling, I'm not finding the end of the tunnel, and it's a mad struggle.
Yeah.
um, you kind of have to sit back and read and kind of think and evaluate, like, what is this trying to teach me,
Mm.
and how can I approach this? And I feel
Mm.
like if we're looking back, every situation I've been in, it was literally trying to realize how to firstly take in what this is supposed to teach me, and learning from it before I was able to move on to the next level.
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
so yeah, so I think all the situations, all the failures and everything, they're always there to kind of just
Yeah, because it's first of all, I do appreciate your openness and the objectivity at which you're telling the story, because you're a creative guy. You can tell a blockbuster story like, yo, I just jumped from the bridge and then landed, and then So-Fraiche came to me and we went from there. Because the like you said, entrepreneurship has been very glamorized now.
hmm
And having said that, there are real entrepreneurs out there, small scale, trying to kind of tune their machine and trying to tune it. And a lot of evenings they go to bed like, wow, what else can I do? It's just not moving. It's
hmm
just not going. So listening to your answers, I think is quite apt for them to understand that, like you said, even in the fact that it's not moving, there's something to learn from that.
yeah, yeah,
And then you keep going, because you're a testament of taking literally an idea and a perception, a persuasion, a different persuasion, and then turning it into the monster you're turning it into now. And my
hmm
question was, when So-Fraiche came up, I a lot of times when I watch movies, and I'm making that example because you're in that industry,
hmm
I always take myself back to that boardroom where the owner of the story is trying to pitch it in front of people who will invest,
yeah,
and trying to paint a picture of how big budget is going to be and all of that to convince them.
hmm
When So-Fraiche started, did you go through a level of people kind of doubting the fact that this is not it's not new, what you're saying is too good to be true, did you go through that? And if you did, how did you literally keep your mental space straight and narrow?
yeah. So I think I always had that kind of attitude where it was like, you kind of go where you're wanted, right? You go where the energy is right, and that naturally, will be a snowball effect to finding more people that gravitate towards you. So forget
Absolutely.
about trying to sell yourself so hard to, be
Hmm.
okay. It's just about,
Word, bro. Word.
that's it. Because yeah, I mean, it just started off just having a camera, doing filming content that you like, we talked about telling stories, for example, and it was just like meeting people, telling stories, and my talent was editing content. So passion, talent, and presenting it, and then people gravitating towards it,
Yeah.
and then slowly building blocks. So the branding, the connections to people, to trying to now become more entrepreneurial,
Yeah.
selling ideas, um, and turning it into something that will generate income. So just a progression, and then learning these lessons along the way to really sharpen the skills.
So let's get to the big time now. So how did you go from So-Fraiche and all of these ideas? How did you go from that to, Chelsea Football Club, all of this big, amazing things you've done with big brands? Now, I want us to zero in, because I was going through your portfolio, and I was quite interested in your Ghanaian project. I
hmm
know, going back home, and you said you had a strong persuasion to tell that story from, generate the emotions and all of that.
hmm
How did you go from concept to interviewing the president of Ghana? How did I'm just, when I read that story, I just said, you know what, this is, and I think it's quite key, because like I said, you're literally living people's dreams in their head, because
hmm
people think, I want to do this, but then is it analysis paralysis? They overanalyze it to the point that it looks so ordinary, then they move to the
hmm
next thing. So how did you go from So-Fraiche, London,
hmm
to interviewing the president of Ghana, literally telling him how to behave on your set and getting the best out of him? Talk
Yeah.
us through that. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I think the first thing really again is believing in your ability, having that kind of audacious attitude to be like, you know what, everything's possible. Once you believe that, you can then, you know, create that reality for yourself. And secondly, just go where opportunity is and create opportunity. So obviously knowing that Ghana is a place where I haven't tapped into, why I go there on holiday, why not look at how I can do business there and tap into the market there, where it's a bit more oversaturated over here.
Yeah.
So it made sense to go and try it, go and use the networks I already know to be like, hey, I do this. Can you introduce me to this person? And it's just a case of kind of, firstly, letting people be confident in you and your ability, and then creating those networks. It might not be you that I'm talking to that is going to create the opportunity for me, but it might be a friend of your friend. But by having a conversation with you, it's going to lead to where I want it to go, hopefully. And then you're not going to know about my ability and what I'm trying to achieve until I have that conversation with you.
Absolutely.
To be like, hey, this is my ambition. This is what I'm trying to do. Do you know what I mean? So that's what it's come down to, really. It's creating those networks, those conversations that has led on to something else. And then the opportunity, being ready for the opportunity, because the opportunity is always going to come, but you have to be in the right place and you have to be ready to take it.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm someone, if the opportunity comes, I'm ready to take that plane flight and go and make it happen.
So how did this connection happen? I just want us to take us a day in the life of G, going into Ghana, getting that high level, because in all of the super serious things that these guys could give an excuse, they still saw a whole lot of value in what you were doing. And he showed up even when you thought in the back of your head you were ready for a no-show, which was good.
Yeah.
Obviously, the president. So talk us through that, how you convinced him, how that all played out. Just a day in the life so we can know you're as real as we are.
Yeah, sure. So with that situation, my business partner had some networks who had like the president, a cousin or something, you know, like the auntie or whatever, like in the network. And it was like, yo, you knew that the presidential election, the campaign was coming up.
Yeah.
And that was through a different conversation. That was a conversation with my cousin in Ghana. So it was like connecting the dots. Okay, so my cousin is saying there's a presidential elections coming. Someone else is saying they've got a family member who's connected to the president of the country. How can we now position ourselves to be like, hey, we can now create content for you guys? And that was as simple as that. It was just connecting the dots and then creating the opportunity and then waiting for the opportunity to materialize and then being ready for it.
How long did that take?
How long did that take? A few months. A few months. Not that long, but I think from the initial conversation, yeah, maybe about 5 months. Maybe about 5 months. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it kind of came. Wasn't sure if it was going to happen. Then it was like, yeah. There's someone saying, yeah, there's a budget for this now. Can you see a proposal? Do you know what I mean? Just like steps along the way.
Oh my goodness! And again, what was the experience like? Because you know, of course, these people are, well, this person is a person of power and all of that.
Yeah.
What, and you know, some Sue Lenny just said, be ready for the opportunity. Now, obviously, you know your stuff and you know what you wanted to get out of that interview, but a lot of us react differently when power sits in front of you.
Yeah.
And you literally have, I don't know how long you had with him to put all of those things together. How did you handle that pressure?
Yeah, sure.
You know, how did you handle that such that you still came out with what you really wanted?
Yeah. So again, it's part of the journey. Firstly, having those opportunities that you might have failed, you succeeded, and
absolutely
you've got the confidence in your ability to be like, you know what, I'm prepared enough to ensure that even if I've got 20 minutes, I'm going to ensure that we get the best result, right? So, funnily enough, during that shoot, the first day, we were expecting the president, but he didn't turn up. So we were shooting in a mansion, a nice mansion, and I had a team ready. We had fully briefed. We knew what we were doing. We spoke to the liaison, the client who had direct access to the president, about the whole process. We were shooting other people, other actors, and so on, students, and for the whole project. And it was the second day when, okay, cool. The first day he's not there, but second day he's gonna come. So we knew he was definitely gonna come. And then it was just a waiting game to get that shot that we needed to.
Yeah.
So when we heard it was coming, obviously there was like a motorcade. You know how African leaders do.
Oh my God.
And
yeah,
there was motorbike. So you're just looking out the window like, rah, like, yeah, the president is really coming.
oh my goodness.
So yeah, I don't think I was phased. I don't think I'm someone who gets starstruck or anything like that. It is like a nice feeling to like meet people of, you know, prominence that you've heard of or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think when I'm in my work mode, mostly I'm just like, I'm here to work. I don't care who you are.
Beast mode.
Yeah, as simple as that. Like, I'm here to do what I need to do and bounce, and you are as well. So it was as simple as that. So made sure the team was ready. When he came, he wanted like a brief down on what was going to happen. I had that conversation. You know, I think it was pretty straightforward. I think he liked. I showed him some content that we'd already shot before he came. Again, these lessons, you learn how to kind of make people feel comfortable, make them feel like ease. Showing him the content that we already shot. He's like, this is great. The content looks sharp. That's what he said, like word for word.
Oh my God.
So yeah. So obviously he looked confident that the content looked good, right? So he was gonna look good on camera. So that was it. So yeah, we then shot him a few takes of him coming to say his lines. Again, just reiterating what he had to say for that project, because again, he's a busy guy. I'm sure after that he's probably going somewhere else, or maybe just having lunch, who knows? But
so
it was good.
So how did you feel when you watched the motorcade drive off? What was the feeling like for you? Did it feel like this is a moment? Of course, I know that, and you're not being starstruck. Was that coming from a place of because you were well prepared?
Yeah, it's coming from a place where you're well prepared. The opportunity was meant to come. It was hopefully going to come, but at one point in the way, it was almost like maybe this is not going to happen. And then another day, it's just like it's here. So it's like you just have to be ready, because that feeling of it's not going to happen, that that's something that you don't want to feel. But once it's there, you don't want to also squander that opportunity. You just want to take it. Yeah, that was it. I was just taking it.
Wow. So did it feel like a moment when it was driving off, like, yo, guys, we just got the president on camera?
Yeah, no, it was a moment. I feel like it was really nice feeling to be like, you know what, as someone who was born in Ghana, to come and grow up in the UK and go back and do a project with the president of the whole country. Like, I mean, not everyone can say that. You know?
I haven't seen my president face to face, so
that might be a good thing. I don't know.
So at least I know a guy who rolls with presidents, and you see, like you also said in your story, it all comes down to your relationships and how you nurture that as you go on. Because, like you said, this whole stuff started from a cousin who knew someone and another cousin.
Networks and the right conversations.
So now I sit well. for some people's lifetime, interviewing the president is the high point of the CV
Mm-hmm.
of what they ever did as
Mm-hmm.
a media person. As if that wasn't enough, you go on the set interviewing, actors, or particularly one from the very well publicized Empire.
Mm-hmm.
Um, how was that experience interviewing them? And of course, do they have the normal actor ego, who come down? How did that all happen? Just so people
Yeah,
know.
yeah. So, I was part of a campaign for the Full Circle Festival, the Year of Return, which was promoting 400 years since this transatlantic slave trade, and it was basically just encouraging African Americans to return back home.
Hmm,
So again, a great chance on a global kind of scale to do something very
yeah,
powerful. And as someone who's a filmmaker, a creator, and who believes in and wants to believe in whatever I make, that was a perfect kind of marriage in terms of here's a project which has a global appeal, has a greater purpose than me and everyone involved in it.
yeah,
And it's a story that is, going to gravitate and touch millions of people. So it was great. And again, another opportunity that I just had to be ready for. So already proven myself and with my team, a co-founder of the business, as people who do great content globally and especially in Africa, as a company that's positioned itself in
yeah.
Africa, and Ghana specifically as well. So that opportunity came, and it was like, yeah, our resume fits perfectly. As a director, it was an opportunity for me to work on something, and bring my own kind of creative kind of, ideas to it. And yeah, I think it was just a case of knowing that I'm going to get a chance to interview certain people like Anthony Anderson, who else was there? Bozoma St. John, Boris
Yeah.
Kojo, Nicole Larry Parker, Idris Elba, but Idris Elba didn't show up in the end. He did show up to one of the parties though, but we didn't interview him there. Yeah, so it was just great, like just meeting a lot of different people, but just knowing that this is a conversation that comes easy to me because it's something that I believe in, right?
Yeah.
So speaking to all of these guys, Diggy Simmons, like, so
Oh my,
you guys
oh
are
my God.
tracing your roots back to Africa. What does it feel like to you? Like, what do you know about it? Like, questions that you and me both would want to ask as well. But at the
Yeah,
same time, I had the greater vision of what the story looked like with the end in mind.
yeah, yeah.
And it's interesting when you read a lot of these books. It's like begin with the end in mind, and that's with your life as well as all the projects that
Absolutely.
you do. Like, what are we trying to say at the end of this?
Yeah. So again, as a director, or the custodian of the big picture,
Hmm.
when these people sit on your set, the power is literally handed over to you as a director because you know what you want to get out of them. They're the ones to ask. Did you, and this is on a lighter note, did you at some point ever feel power drunk? Like, yo, I know you guys are big where you come from, but your mindset. And did you have any ego coming out, and how did you handle all of that such that they gave you what you wanted? Because I guess these people can be, not that they intentionally want to be egoistic, but maybe because they're busy or they just have a different perception of what's happening now they're on your set and it looks different. How did you handle that if that happened?
Yeah, I mean, again, that comes from experience, and that comes also to kind of my nature and how I want to, have these conversations on camera. And for a lot of people, they might be famous or whatever, but they still want direction. They still want to know and understand
Hmm,
what's happening. They want to,
hmm,
talk to people in a certain way. Everyone's different. You have to manage egos and all that. That's natural. But ultimately, you have to make people feel comfortable. And kind of give them an understanding of what you're looking for. With a documentary film, it's slightly different because it's more of a conversation that you're trying to have to get the best
Yeah.
out of people.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're on set and you're trying to get a performance or acting out of people, it's a different strategy you'd employ.
Yeah.
But this one is very simple. Like, you know, have that conversation beforehand, camera rolling, and let's talk. And sometimes you might use certain strategies because you know that it will get people a bit more comfortable. Maybe have the camera rolling all the way through without them knowing. You know, these kind of things. So you learn all the tricks. You learn all the tricks.
Oh my goodness. And I'm gonna cut straight to Spike Lee. Spike Lee is oh my God, I can't even. Now I see this picture of you and Spike Lee on social media.
Yeah.
How did that come about? And I know for you, for what Spike Lee does and what you want to achieve, that's a marriage made in heaven. How did that come about? And how did that moment go down?
Yeah. So Spike Lee is like one of my like idols, like someone definitely I look up to in film. Like there's not a lot of, you know, bigger personalities when it comes to black filmmakers than someone like Spike Lee, who's like an independent filmmaker, the epitome of like being an entrepreneur as well as a creative and marrying it up and just like being so kind of you know, just this is who I am, just undeniable and unapologetic. Not trying to pander to Hollywood or anything like that. Like, so I went to New York by way or I was going to Boston by way of New York. So I stopped in New York, stayed with a friend for a bit, and I have a few friends in New York. So the actual project was for more of a corporate project with Yale University in Boston, New Haven, near that area. So I stopped off in New York. I was like, okay, cool. It'll be a chance to really stop up in New York, catch up with friends, explore, take it more of a holiday time off. I'd been working hard, stressed, burnt out, wasn't sure what direction to go next with what I was trying to do. And funny enough, before I left on the plane, I told one of my friends, I was having a conversation with her recently, like, yo, I'm stressed out, man. I don't know what next, but I need a sign. I just need a sign, you know? And yeah, so when I got to New York, I ended up catching up with one of my friends who became a friend initially. We've done some business together. He's a Brooklyn native who also runs a company and does events globally, and came to London for some events. So I was catching up with him. He was taking me around Brooklyn, giving me the tour. He's someone who's really into, you know, aesthetic and architecture and all sorts, and he was giving me a full-fledged tour. And lo and behold, just across the street when we were walking down was 40 Acres and a Mule, Spike Lee's production company. Offices. And I think he just made a comment that, Spike Lee's office is down there. And as we're crossing the road, we see this figure with, you know, bright orange sneakers. You know what I mean? Just like, wait a minute, this guy looks a bit funky from a distance.
Oh my God.
And I was like, is that Spike Lee? Like, surely it can't be Spike Lee. It's just like him there, no one else around. Like it's really like weird, you know. So we just walked over, and it turned out to be Spike Lee, and I was like, "Raw, like,
wow,
how's it going? Like, I'm a big fan."
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, we had that conversation. I told him, "Yeah, man, I'm a filmmaker. I definitely you're someone I look up to. I'm looking to do my own films. It's something I've always been passionate about." He's like, "Yeah, I want to see your film in theaters." And yeah, man, just positive guy. Nothing too deep there. Just like, yo, go do your thing, boy. So it was cool. We took a picture, and we bounced.
Wow. Yeah. That was bright signs. As bright as his hair was, or whatever it was wearing. Because you said you left the UK wanting a sign, and it couldn't have come bigger than Spike Lee. Just literally walking. Wow.
straight up. So yeah, it was definitely a powerful moment to be like, nah, like I remember sending the picture to the family group and everyone was like, what?
Oh
So
my
yeah, no,
goodness.
it was definitely a big moment, and yeah, it was a great sign. I was like, you know what, kind of you're going the right path, and
Mm,
maybe
mm,
keep on going in the direction of what you feel instinctively,
mm,
you know.
mm.
But sometimes I think we get to a point where we start being influenced by the world around us a bit,
Absolutely.
and
Mm.
it's like, no,
And,
this
mm. And it's interesting this happening. Did this happen after Ghana
this
or
happened after Ghana,
before?
yeah, after
So
Ghana, yeah.
so the reason I ask is, again, people have a perception. People who have seen you, interview all those A-list Hollywood stars,
Hmm.
the president of Ghana, in their mind, you're literally in the stratosphere now, and then here you are, completely oblivious of where next to go, and
Yeah,
you
exactly,
needed a sign.
exactly. It's part of
And
life, right? We have our ups and downs. We're not sure what way to turn, and I think
hmm,
even Will Smith talked about it. Another guy I look up to a lot, and he talked about
yes,
how he was extremely famous but broke, and he's on the bus. You don't want to be someone who's very famous
wow,
and broke on a bus. It just doesn't have the
oh
right,
my
you know.
goodness.
So he talked about that before he got the opportunity to do the Fresh Prince.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's we all go through these moments where sometimes life might test us, and it's just about repositioning ourselves in the direction that we're meant to go in. So yeah, that's how I feel. I feel like some of these moments, they might teach us a lesson in the moment, but might not be the right direction we're meant to go.
Hmm.
So I feel like, yeah, the Spike Lee thing was a moment to be like, yo, that's the sign to go
Oh my God. So I need to picture that real quick. Here is
mm,
Spike Lee, who
mm,
normally will have a litany of guys around him and all of that. Here's Spike Lee singularly on the road, just crossing. And
mm-hmm,
you, all the way from London,
mm-hmm.
you were right there at the right time to
Right
have that
time,
connection.
no one else around. Actually, like
Oh my
literally no one else
goodness.
around. Like imagine.
Wow! How
Yeah.
did you feel when you got back in the car after when you walked away? What was the
I
feeling
just
like?
felt inspired. I was like, yo, we need to touch base. Yo, let's work on a film, man.
Oh my
I was ready
goodness.
to go. So yeah, no, it was just a great like inspirational moment, just to kind of get that spark back in me about, you know what, like
Yeah, yeah.
this is actually what I'm passionate about. Just a
Mm.
reminder, like yo, like this is someone who's set the
Oh
staple
my God.
for believing in your own instinct and own ability.
Wow. Wow. I'm just blown away
Mm.
because, seeing that on social media, what you will perceptionally think is a whole lot of homeworkers behind the scenes have gone into
Hmm.
him having the time to catch up with you, to even take a
Hmm.
picture. You just feel that some discussions have happened, like, yo,
Hmm.
okay, I'll just give him 2 minutes, come take a picture and I go. But it's also normal. You you were even struggling to believe, even though you were looking at him in flesh, to believe that that's Spike Lee. And then, wow, wow, wow.
Exactly, exactly. So yeah,
And
man.
I think what's coming out real key is the fact that you said it in the beginning of your story. People who are doing what they love to do are in depression and killing themselves and all of that kind of thing. So this perception of the fact that, or when you start doing what you love to do, work the work doesn't feel like work anymore. You're living the best life.
Hmm.
You've been able to bring a normality and reality to the fact that you're on a high today doesn't mean you won't feel completely depressed, or tomorrow you won't wake up and think that, where do I go with this? And I think
Yeah,
that's a lesson a whole lot of us need to be okay with. You know,
yeah.
that when I started this, I said to myself that even if it's just one person watching, if it's that one person that needs to hear from this, that's fine. So
Mm.
it's a game of either concentrating on numbers, i.e., how you're rating in numbers, how many people are watching, or the quality of the conversation. But
Yeah.
even at that, which I'm about the quality, but you and I know that all of those other commentaries filters in. So your story is just an absolute collage of favor, grace, the universe,